Hey, Lisa here with our Georgia suburban homestead with a dead microphone. So we're doing a voiceover recipe for shiso tomato salad with the tomatoes and the shiso and the cucumbers straight from the garden. So I hope you enjoy this, even though you won't be hearing the actual presentation, such is life here. So here you have the ingredients. You've got the tomatoes, the basket of shiso in the background that you watched me harvest in a previous video, and I'll be showing you the ingredients. So that's the shiso, or perilla, or beefsteak plant, whatever you want to call it. And we've got a small shallot, tomatoes from the garden, the first two for the big tomatoes, a cucumber, one of our first this year, and it was nice and fragrant. A sweet onion, half a sweet onion, I should say, toasted sesame oil, rice wine vinegar, fresh ground black pepper, and I prefer to use sweet onions when I'm saying other than a spicy onion in this recipe. And I've got separate little fancy little bowls for putting everything in, just for illustration. On the far right in that colander thing, you see garlic that I've put through a pulse or two to roughly chop it. And we'll be adding that to the mixture a little later. So I'm chopping this up pretty fine. And don't you love my knife work? My husband doesn't let me play with anything sharp because I cut myself. So I go kind of slow. I love this knife, though. It's kind of a Asian shape. It's really good for chopping herbs and spices. You just kind of rock it back and forth. So the onion gets its own bowl. I'm going to set that aside once we get the onion into the bowl. And we move on to the next ingredient, which is the shallot. And again, shallots could be kind of strong, so you want to mince them up pretty finely. So here I am cutting it as small as I can get it without getting my fingers in it. And looks like I'm about done. I'm going to combine it with the onion. Take the garlic away. I do use a pinch of it later. So there's your onions and shallots. Now we're going to do the shiso. And we're just going to give it, a rough chop. And it calls for 3 leaves per person, or 3 leaves per tomato. So we're just going to give that a rough chop, balling it up to make the chopping a little easier, and just rocking that knife over the shiso, turning it to the side and doing it the other direction. And one more time for good measure. You can see how small the pieces are on the knife. Chop, 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 chop. So that's going to go into its own bowl. I like to scrape up every little bit on the edge of the knife. Now the recipe calls for soaking the onions and the shiso separately in their own cold water, and you soak it for about 5 minutes. I'm showing you both the bowls without the water, and we're about to show it with the water. So here it comes. A little bit of cold water in there with the shiso. Look at it glisten. Same thing with the onion and shallot mixture. So what am I going to do next? I am going to process these ripe tomatoes. Now, the first one, just sitting on the shelf overnight, really softened up fast. So this particular variety of tomato from Eastern Europe, once you pick it, they really go quick. Removing the tough ends, and I'm just going to cut that into slices, about a 1/4 inch thick. Turn it, cut it one more time, and put that into the larger bowl there. And I'll repeat the process until we get all the tomatoes sliced. So now we're going to be slicing the cucumber next. And again, I'm removing the tough ends. And, oops, forgot a tomato. Let's throw that in there. How can I forget the tomato? Bright red sitting there on the cutting board. Anywho, what I do is I slice the cucumber lengthwise first, and then flip it over and do little sticks out of it. You can't see that very clearly, but they're little slivers, and I turn them on their sides, see? And then just rock that knife over them, and you get good little uniform chunks of cucumber. Now, I don't peel the cucumbers because unlike store-bought cucumbers, it doesn't have any wax on the outside, so I just simply chop and drop. A lot of your nutrients are in the skin, as it's in the skin of most of your vegetables. Anyhow, so off to wash. Now to work on the sauce. I've got my little bowl handy there, and this is fairly simple as well. As this whole recipe is simple. You can work it up in 5 minutes. Took me a little longer than that because I'm talking to the camera, right? So first thing we add is the soy sauce. And I'm using my tablespoon. And this is a real Asian soy sauce. I buy soy sauce by the gallon, as you can see. So that's 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. And I'm telling you, there's 1 tablespoon. So now we're going to do 1 tablespoon, or nope, I got it wrong. 1 teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of rice wine vinegar. This stuff's so good. That's 1. Gosh, I can't read my own hand signals. What do you think? What are you going to do with me? So 1 teaspoon of rice wine vinegar. And now I'm saying 2. Make up your mind, Lisa. Toasted sesame oil. 2 teaspoons. This stuff is so good. It doesn't take much of the flavoring, though. Otherwise, it's overpowering. So it's 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of rice wine vinegar, and 2 teaspoons of the toasted sesame oil. And we're just going to eyeball a pinch of black pepper. So what now, you ask? So I'm off wondering if it's been 5 minutes for the soaking shiso and onion. So of course, after you put the sauce ingredients together, you're going to need to mix it in. So here I am whisking the oil and the soy sauce and rice wine vinegar together with the pepper and setting that aside. So now the next step is to strain the vegetables that have been soaking in the cold water. So let's strain the onions and shallots and add them to the mix, the salad mix, and then we'll strain the shiso that's been soaking in the cold water and adding it to the mix. Got to get every little bit of that goodness. And that's what it looks like before you toss the salad. That's pretty colors, I think. So we're going to drizzle the sauce over the top and try to disperse it as much as we can there. But no worries, when we go to toss it, it should blend pretty well. So just using 2 spoons because it's a small bowl. We've got the ingredients mixing. And I just really like looking at the colors of the salad with the oranges and the yellows and the deep purple of the shiso. I think it's a lovely feast for the eyes, even. So there you go. So before dinner, I made this probably an hour before dinner, and I just simply stuck it into the refrigerator and chilled it. So if you like what you're seeing, you know what to do. Thumbs up, comment, and I hope you enjoy this. Bye.